Good morning and welcome to the Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daly. Here. Senator Ellison. Senator Flores. Senator Lang. Senator Rogish. Senator Scheibel. Senator Steinbeck. Chair Pizzino.
Present. Thank you so much. And please mark Senator Flores present when he arrives. Welcome to the members of the audience here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, as well as anyone who's following our meeting online. Before we begin, we'll make just a few housekeeping announcements. We'd like to remind everyone to please silence all of your electronic devices while in the committee room. Members of the public may provide testimony in various ways, all of which are listed on the agenda. You may also submit public comment in writing, either in addition to testifying or in the place of testifying. And if you wish to testify in person, please sign in at the table by the door and leave a business card with our committee secretary. When testifying in person, please turn the microphones on to speak and off to listen, as we'll have others listening and viewing the meeting in Las Vegas as well as online. And please do remember to state and spell your name for the record. Anyone who'd like to receive electronic notifications of scheduled bills and access to the committee's meeting materials may do so by signing up on Nellis on the legislative website. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other exhibits. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. And with that, we are going to start our day with the work session, and then after that, we will move to our bill hearings in the order that they're listed on the agenda. So with that, Mr. Ashton, we'll start with Senate Bill 49.
Thank you, Chair Pizzino. For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, Legislative Council Bureau. As nonpartisan staff, I can neither advocate nor oppose any of the measures before you today. Senate Bill 49 was heard on February 24th. It clarifies, eliminates, and expands various provisions related to consumer protection, including without limitation certain court and civil actions, penalties, and the authorities of the Office of the Attorney General. Amendments. The Attorney General is proposing the attached conceptual amendment. In summary, the amendment provides in Section 3 that in certain actions pertaining to suspected deceptive trade practices, the Attorney General may bring an action that includes certain remedies, as outlined in Chapter 598 of NRS, in addition to existing remedies. In Section 4, removes in subsections 1 through 3C, 5, and 6 all new matters referring to the consumer's advocate or his or her designee. Revises the increase in the administrative fine that it is up to $15,000 for each violation. Also clarifies that an order under this subsection may be served upon a person in any manner permitted by the Nevada Rules of Civil Procedure. Retains in all deleted provisions of subsections 7 through 9, which authorize a court to impose certain additional sanctions. And in other sections, deletes sections 1, 2, and 5 through 10 to remove references to the consumer's advocate, and clarifies in section 12, subsection 3, that any records received and in custody of the consumer's advocate remain confidential pursuant to federal or state law. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Committee, do we have any questions? Okay. Senator Steinbeck.
Yes, thank you. No questions. I'm going to vote it out of committee, but reserve my right to change on the floor.
Thank you so much. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion on Senate Bill 49 to amend do pass. Thank you so much. We have a motion from Senator Scheibel, a second from Senator Lang. Do we have any further discussion? All right. With that, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, wonderful. Senate Bill 49 passes out of committee unanimously, and I will assign the floor statement to Senator Ellison. Okay, Mr. Ashton, we will move on to Senate Bill 97, and thank you.
For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. Senate Bill 97 was heard last Friday on April 4th. And I will go straight to the amendments. Brett Scolari from S360, representing the Reno Sparks Indian Colony, proposed a conceptual amendment attached to the work session document. during the bill hearing, actually. In summary, the amendment deletes all sections but retains Section 3, subsection 2A, to provide that one of the 5 members appointed by the governor to the board of directors of the exchange shall be a member of a Nevada Indian tribe with expertise in tribal health care administration in Nevada. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the committee on Senate Bill 97? As you'll recall, we heard this one last Friday, and pretty much the entire bill was deleted with one small section remaining. Okay. Not seeing any questions, I will entertain a motion to amend due pass on Senate Bill 97.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. We have a motion from Senator Flores, a second from Senator Daly. And with that, is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, Senate Bill 97 passes out of committee with amend due pass unanimously, and I will assign the floor statement to Senator Lang. All right, Mr. Ashton, thank you so much, and we are going to move on to Senate Bill 268.
For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. Senate Bill 268 was heard on March 19th. It requires certain public and private health insurers to cover various dental services provided by a dental hygienist while not supervised by a dentist to the same extent as if provided under a dentist's supervision. Amendments. Warren Hardy, on behalf of Future Smiles, proposes the conceptual amendment attached to the work session document. In summary, the amendment sets forth that public and private health insurers must only cover services by such a dental hygienist who is employed by a nonprofit organization and providing such services within the scope of that employment, and codifies certain provisions of NAC 631210 in Nevada revised statutes for the purpose to clarify the kinds of services covered by health insurers if provided by such a dental hygienist. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashton. And with that, we will see, are there any questions, committee, on Senate Bill 268? Okay, not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to amend due pass Senate Bill 268. Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Senator Lang, a second from Vice Chair Daly. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 268? Okay, not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right. Senate Bill 268 passes out of committee unanimously, and Senator Flores, of course, will be assigned the floor statement. And then that will move us to Senate Bill 291, Mr. Ashton, and thank you.
For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. SB 291 was heard on March 17th, and for the sake of time, I will go straight to the amendments. Senator Doñate proposes the conceptual amendment attached to the work session document, which was provided after the bill hearing. In summary, the amendment removes all sections of the bill except those requiring the DMV to establish procedures by which a licensee who is a victim of identity theft may request a change of his or her driver's license number at no cost. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the committee on Senate Bill 291? Okay, not seeing any, I will take a motion to amend due pass Senate Bill 291. Thank you so much. A motion from Vice Chair Daly. Do we have a second? Second. I think that was about a tie. We'll give that to Senator Steinbeck. Do we have any further discussion on Senate Bill 291? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Senate Bill 291 passes unanimously out of committee, and that floor statement will be assigned to Senator Doñate. And with that, that will move us to Senate Bill 316, Mr. Ashton, and thanks again.
For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. SB 316 was heard on March 24th. It expands the scope of provisions governing pharmacy benefit managers, in short PBMs, to also apply to entities that manage pharmacy services, and provides various other prohibitions and requirements governing PBMs, health insurers, and the Commissioner of Insurance. And for the sake of time, I will go straight to the amendments. There were significant changes to the original amendment that we received, and I sent you all, you received all of it on Saturday. I will go over it in a bit more detail just to summarize it. So Senator Wynn proposes the following amendments to the existing bill sections. Change in Section 1 the reporting date to on or before June 1st of each year. Remove Section 15, subsection 2, authorizing a third party or PBM to lower a covered person's cost-sharing obligation when they fill prescriptions or get pharmacist services at a particular pharmacy. Clarify in Section 16 that the PBM must only disclose aggregates and also include without limitation administrative fees and rebates collected from pharmacies in the reporting requirements. Modify Section 18, subsection 3b, that the Attorney General may only seek an injunction or other equitable relief to halt certain violations if he or she believes that a PBM is directly or indirectly in violation. Remove in Section 23, subsection 1b, the obligation to act with care, skill, prudence, diligence, and professionalism towards persons covered by a third party. Instead, impose upon a PBM a fiduciary duty toward persons covered by a third party with which the PBM has entered into an agreement with to manage its pharmacy benefits plan, and authorize a third party with which the PBM has entered into an agreement to audit all books and records of the PBM to the extent necessary to fulfill all contractual obligations to covered persons. The amendment also adds certain new provisions. First, it excludes Nevada Medicaid, Medicaid Managed Care Organization, and the Public Employees Benefits Program from the provisions of this bill. Starting on January 1st, 2028, it prohibits a PBM from deriving income from the management of a pharmacy benefits plan except for income derived from administrative fees paid by the third-party insurer that underwrites the plan. Require that a PBM shall also provide any income generated through discounts offered by a manufacturer of prescription drugs or pricing incentives or fees collected from a manufacturer to the third party, and any income generated through rebates paid by a manufacturer of prescription drugs to covered persons. Next, require a third party and a PBM a third party has entered into an agreement with to manage its pharmacy benefits plan to include all amounts paid by an enrollee or paid by another person on behalf of an enrollee toward the cost of a covered prescription drug when calculating the enrollee's contribution to certain cost-sharing requirements applied to the drug if the conditions outlined in items 8A and B on page 3 of the work session document are met. And Chairperson and committee members, this concludes the summary. I believe Mr. Goldwater would be present to answer any questions you may have regarding this amendment. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Committee, I know that's a lot of changes. Do we have any questions? Okay. Not seeing any, I will take a motion to amend due pass Senate Bill 316. We have a motion from Senator Scheibel. Do we have a second? And a second from Vice Chair Daley. Do we have any further discussion? Okay. With that, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. Please let it be noted that Senate Bill 316 passes unanimously through committee, and Senator Nguyen will take that floor statement. And we will move on to Senate Bill 344. Mr. Ashton.
Thank you, Chairperson. For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. SB 344 was heard on April 2nd. It requires certain public and private health insurers to provide coverage of non-invasive prenatal screening at any time during pregnancy without prior authorization, and for Medicaid, also certain routine carrier screening. There were no amendments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. All right, after all those amendments, then no amendments on Senate Bill 344. Committee, do we have any questions on SB 344? Any? Okay. I don't see any questions. With that, I will entertain a motion to do pass Senate Bill 344. Okay, we have a motion from Vice Chair Daley. Do we have a second? A second from Senator Flores. Is there any further discussion on SB 344? Okay, not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay. With that, thank you so much. Let it be noted that through committee, Senate Bill 344 does pass unanimously, and that floor statement will be assigned to Senator Cannizzaro. And Mr. Ashton, that will move us to Senate Bill 370.
For the record, Patrick Ashton, Research Division, LCB. SB 370 was heard on March 28th. It revises the two procedures to request and obtain a certificate of ownership for a manufactured home, mobile home, or commercial coach from the Housing Division of the Department of Business and Industry if the applicant is unable to present a previously issued certificate of title because it is unavailable. The bill also requires the division's administrator to adopt regulations for an expedited process for the issuance of a new ownership certificate under either of these two procedures for a fee. There were no amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The last one in our marathon. All right, committee, do we have any questions on Senate Bill 370? Okay, not seeing any questions. I will entertain a motion to do pass SB 370.
So moved.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. Do we have a second? A second from Senator Flores. Is there any further discussion on SB 370? Okay, not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, great. Let it be noted that Senate Bill 370 passes out of committee unanimously, and the floor statement will be assigned to Senator Taylor. And with that, our work session is complete. I thank everyone so much for their patience as we move to the first item on our agenda today, or I should say the second item, which is a bill hearing. And we will open the bill hearing on Senate Bill 311, which imposes certain requirements upon certain alarm companies. And we will welcome Senator Ellison and any co-presenters he may have when he's ready.
Good morning. I'm sure glad to see a lot of them bills get out of the way before deadline. So, Madam Chairman, I'm here today to introduce Senate Bill 311, imposing certain requirements to certain alarm companies. I do have an amendment on this bill that they'll probably come up and talk about, but the problem we have with alarm companies is it's in the rules, not in the cities. It's not like Washoe or Las Vegas or the bigger cities. So there is a cap on there for anything under 100,000. And the reason we did that is because they have maintenance people that does repairs. In the rules, we can't get them out there. And that's the problem. That's what introduced this bill. You know, and they always say, don't ever say this is an easy bill, because it comes back and haunts you. But what we do have is, Ms. Pazina and members of the committee, I'm John Ellison from Senate District 19. My district goes from the Nevada, or from the Utah border, Idaho border, all the way to the California border. So it takes 200,000 out of Vegas and rumping all the way down. So I got basically half the state of rural areas and two big cities. So I travel a lot, and if anybody wants to buy me a new truck, but Madam Chairman.
Senator Ellison, we ask that you don't hit any more animals with your truck.
Yeah, I've done that 3 times. They told me they were going to put a deer tag on the hood of my new truck, so we'll see. But Madam Chairman, this bill aims to ensure customer protection for residents and business in Nevada, which applies to alarm systems for the safety and security of our residents. Background information: alarm systems play a critical and safeguard for our homes and businesses, provide a sense of security and peace of mind. Countless Nevada, however, issues arise on these systems become defective and inoperable, leaving customers vulnerable for the bounds the service contracts that offer little resources. Currently, there is no obligations for alarm companies to address malfunction systems promptly, nor are there protections for the customers' penalties. If you choose to cancel services due to such malfunction, this gap consumer protection can lead to insufficient financing security concerns to our constituents. The problem we're having, Madam Chairman and board members, is if you have a system that is having malfunctions with the alarm system, you can't get nobody out there. I'll give you an example. There's another senator that just bought a new system with the best quality system there is, along with quite a bit of protection for making sure maintenance would be done. And right off, it went down, and when it did, he couldn't get nobody out there. He finally had to get other people involved to get maintenance out there to work on these brand new systems, and that's bad. And we call all the time. They keep saying, we can give you upgrades. So when you say, okay, we got to get these systems going, go ahead and let me do the upgrade. Then they'll tell you, well, we don't have nobody come out and do it. But yet they're in there every month selling and installing new systems. But it's not the system, it's the maintenance is the problem. And that's what created this bill. We can't get them out there to repair what they got. And this has come to a point where now it's critical for a lot of these seniors. When these systems go down, they don't even know they're down. And that's the problem is, if they have a problem, they'll call and say, look, these systems down, they say, we have no maintenance out there in that area. But yet they're selling the system, and they're selling you a maintenance contract that goes with the system. So you're paying for monitoring every month, just like clockwork, but yet at the end of the day, you have a problem, and that problem is that they're not maintaining them. And so when you call and try to force them down there, it's not happening. I even called back east and tried to get people, say, look, we're gonna go for a bill, and we did this several years back, and they said, no, we'll get the maintenance and we'll get maintained, but that never happened. We're back to the same problem we have. So the issue is not about the alarm system as far as the monitoring goes. It's the maintenance when they go down, and that's our problem. And for the summary of the bill, Senate Bill 311 seeks to address the concerns introducing specific requirements for alarm companies operating in Nevada. Under this bill, it is alarm companies that is installed alarm system, customers, home or business, and charged a monthly fee for monitoring service. The company must act as soon as possible upon notification of the system is defective or inoperable. Specifically, the company must repair or replace the defective inoperative alarm system and components, or cancel the remaining contract. And that's another problem we have, is when you get to the contract, when you buy alarm system, you either put the system on a monthly payment on top of the monitoring, but the other problem we have is this system has got to where they will not, if I go in and buy a system, I pay for all the parts right up front, $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is. I pay for that up front. That way I don't have that on the monthly bill, just the monitoring. So a lot of us do that, but some people can't. So they'll make these payments for monitoring and maintenance, but the problem is getting people out there to do the maintenance. It's not happening. And the other thing is the bill prohibits the alarm companies from changing any penalties, fees, forfeitures, or deposit, or additional costs to such cancellations. Lastly, a violation of these provisions will be constituted as a defective trade practice. And that is what we're trying to get at. And they said that goes through the DA's office or the AG's office. And that's what created this this pop cap to say, look, anything under 100,000, because they do maintain them in the cities. And I don't know how many people here have alarm systems in their homes. I've got several. I had it in the laundromat. I had to change it because ADT wouldn't show up. And then I've got them in my office. I've got them in our maintenance shops. I've got them in my homes. I've got them in rentals. So I've got several of these different systems. But the same problem we have, thank God, our electricians can call the maintenance service, and we can talk through and fix 90% of it, and then they'll send the parts and we'll put it in. But a lot of people don't have that they don't have that obligation to do that. I run a full electrical service, and so we're trying to do whatever we can to get these people out there to maintain when these things go down. That's all we're asking. If they don't, then it needs to go to the Attorney General's office and look at another problem, because it's got to that point. It's a straightforward bill. It's a vital piece of legislation aiming at protecting Nevadans and depend on the alarm system and the safety of the holders and the alarm companies, accountability to function on their system. Madam Chairman, all we're asking is that they maintain what they're selling us, and if they don't, then we need to go to another level, because there's two big giant companies that go to Elko. They're in there all the time, and I went and beat on one's window the other day and said, look, hey, we got a problem with our alarm system. And they said, well, we don't do maintenance. So that's a bad deal, and we still pay, I don't know what it is, $300 or $400 a month for all these different systems. But the biggest thing is maintenance, maintain what you're selling. And it is under, the contract says that as long as you're paying monitors, for monitor fees, they have to maintain it. That's not happening. And I hope I explained that a little better. Clips. Mr. Daly his mind's clicking. So, but I wish I could have got Senator Gogachio on the line, because what he went through, he bought the top of the line, the best, and he also paid for maintenance system in several, to make sure this thing would be maintained in Ely. And the first thing it did is it went down, and that was a high dollar system and very good system. They just wouldn't come out and maintain it. So he finally had to get a hold of the right people to put pressure on them to come out, and they did. But a lot of these people in Ilko, Wells, Ely, Eureka, Jackpot, Windower, they're buying these systems, but the problem is they say you're 300 miles away, then you shouldn't have sold the system. And that's their excuse.
Thank you so much. Are you open for questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think we're going to thank you so much for the presentation, and I think we're going to get started with Senator Lang.
Senator Ellison, in your bill, I think you have the words as soon as possible that they would get out there.
Well, we would just like to get on the list, because they can't drop everything and get out to rural areas. So we know that, and that's what we do. And when they wrote this, we said long as they give us a date, they would show up. We don't have a problem with that. The problem is that they just don't ever show up.
So, a follow-up, please. So, my thing, I think when you have something that says get there as soon as possible means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I would prefer, I like your bill. I get where you're coming from. It's happened to me even living in Las Vegas before. I would quantify that in a number of hours or in a certain period of time. I mean, I don't know what works for you, because you, as you say, they don't have any maintenance people close to where sometimes they have to go. But I think you have to quantify how long is as soon as possible.
And, I think the reason they did that is because we were trying to make it as a priority that they would put it on the list, not saying be there in 1 day or 1 week. We were trying to give them a little longitude. But they've got large maintenance systems in Salt Lake, and they got large maintenance systems in Washoe. But the problem is it's in between. They're not servicing them. They said, well, God, it's too far to drive, or we don't want to have to go out there to work on 1 or 2 systems. That's not what they sold, and that's my problem. But I agree with you. I can amend that to say, within a week, 2 weeks. But the problem is you got a lot of people that in some areas, they need them alarm systems. And we had one that I'll tell you how bad it was. We had one in our laundromat. They broke in, and they did probably, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000 in damage and theft. Come to find out, when they put the new system in, they didn't hook it up, and it was showing that it was monitoring, but it was not. So we went back and tried to cancel the contract, and the contract says you can't do that. So that's why we're trying to keep these companies, to be accountable for what they do.
Okay, just one last remark. I think if you called the alarm companies that service your area and say, what is the average time it takes you to do a repair, and then kind of find some middle ground, because I think 2 weeks is too long.
And thank you, Ms. Lang. And we've been calling them continuously. On every time somebody calls me, I call that company, say, when can you get somebody out there? We'll get back with you. So a week later, I'll call them again. Where are you at? Well, we're trying to get somebody out there. You're quite a ways away. You're selling a system, but you're not repairing it, and that's the problem. But I agree with you 100%. We're having a lot of problems, not as far as, you can call them up and they'll walk you through a lot of stuff, but that's not the issue. A lot of people can't do that. We try to help the ones we can, but we can't help them all.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of agreement there. We just want to make sure that we quantify as soon as practicable to make sure that we get a number on that. So if you can get us an amendment for that, along with your existing amendment. Senator Flores.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Ellison, for the presentation. I just wanted to understand the pop cap. I understand that obviously it's a big problem in the rurals, and you're trying to get to that. But if these businesses are operating, say, in Clark County or Washoe or Reno, Las Vegas, better said, I'm trying to understand what's the issue with keeping them there. If they claim they're already doing it, then there should be no concern. Did they raise concerns? I'm assuming during negotiations that there was a problem in doing that in the larger jurisdictions, but I'm just trying to understand what that concern was.
Thank you, Senator. The problem is in Washoe or Reno in Las Vegas, they have such a large company that they can keep full maintenance people on staff all the time. But when you go to say that you got to drive 300 miles to fix a system that might be down and there might be only 2 or 3 down at that time, they don't want to have to drive all the way out there and then drive all the way back, and that's their excuse. Problem we have is in Las Vegas is here, they could probably answer that question, but they do have a quick turnover where the rules don't. That's the problem.
And thank you, Madam Chairman. If I could do a quick follow-up. What I mean to say, hypothetically, I have a business in Las Vegas or Reno. I purchase one of these systems, and they do what's happening in Elko to me. I call them out, months pass, they're just not maintaining the systems. What I'm trying to understand is why we would exempt, if they claim they're already doing it in the larger jurisdictions. I don't see any harm in keeping them in, just so that we could have that added protection in case we have a scenario where they happen to do the same thing that they're doing in the rurals in the city. But I was just curious to know if there was another reason.
Well, they did have a problem with, Clark County did have a problem with where it was under defective trade practices. They didn't like that idea, but when I talked with the AG's office, they said they put that in almost everything when there's a problem. So that was a problem they had. And I said, well, if we put a pop cap, because you guys don't really have that maintenance, would that satisfy? And they said yes, and that's the amendment we put in. But I'm like you. I think that no matter where they're at, they should have to maintain their system, just like any other business. But it's got to the point where they'll switch you from the monitoring to the maintenance, and you might get a call back in 2-3 weeks, and then they'll tell you that they have nobody in that area. And that's my problem. And I mean, I'm getting them from Windover. Windover, once in a while, they'll get somebody out because they're closer to from Salt Lake to Windover. But you get down to like Ely and Wells and Eureka and Tonopah and Hawthorne and these, they just don't want to go out there and maintain their systems. And when they go down, they're dead. Somebody can break in your house and nobody even know it. And that's a problem. That's why I believe in security and the alarm system. I'm gone so much. And I don't like my wife being home without the system working and operable. So when it goes down, we go over and do whatever it is to repair. But a lot of people that, the husbands or wives work at the mines, they're gone for long hours at a time. They need that system. Yeah, they need that system. And mostly lately, it seems like as crime goes up, then you need them systems out to let the people, mostly with little kids, home and stuff like this. So I think it's important. They sell you a system, let them maintain that system.
Okay, Vice Chair Daley had a question, and then Senator Rogich after that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And following up on Senator Flores' issue, I don't know that the pop cap is needed. You might as well get everybody in the same deal, because they could do the same things in the larger counties, and people should have the right to cancel if they're just not coming. And then just a suggestion, maybe you can get LCB or research to look up for you. We did have a bill last session on home warranty vendors, where they're selling a warranty. It's a similar issue. They're selling a warranty. They're saying they're going to come out and do this. And I know we put time frames in on when they had to respond and how many contractors they had to respond to these things, because heater goes out, hot water heater, a variety of different things. So there might be some time frames in that you could put into this bill that says, hey, you gotta respond within so many days and get us on the list, and then show up with the vendor beside that, or we automatically cancel and you give us back our money. And so I think there's something from last session that you might be able to look at on home warranty repairs.
Thank you to Senator Daley. I thank you for that, because I've been looking for everything I could find to maybe amend into the bill, because what we're trying to do is put teeth into it, and we're not asking for more than what we've agreed to. And I even offered to upgrade my whole systems, which would have cost thousands, just to get the maintenance people out there. But it's not going to change. Even if I do an upgrade, it's not going to do any changes.
Thank you so much. So we'll have to try to look for that home warranty bill from last session. And Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing this bill. I agree we should remove this population cap. I know of circumstances down in Clark County in which there may have been a breach to the alarm system or, the house, and yet they did not notify a public safety agency. They indicated they were going to send one of their personnel out to investigate. 45 minutes later, they had still yet to do it. So it was up to the homeowner to then call 911 because that person was not at home. And the reason I know that it was me. And I was here serving, and at 2 a.m, they were not sending someone. So I think they should be accountable under the contracts that they have. So I think the population cap should be removed. Thank you.
And thank you, Madam Chairman, to you and Ms. Rogue. I just had the same thing happen. My wife moved stuff in it was a diamond ring and a diamond cross, and it was about $10,000, and she went in there the next morning and it was gone, and the alarm system didn't go off. So about $10,000 out the door. So thank you. And I hope that Clark County will come to the table and speak on this, but the issue is trying to get people out there to do what they're supposed to do. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you so much. So it sounds like there's a lot of consensus behind the need for this. It's just maybe getting a few more things ironed out sooner than later, since we have deadlines coming up. Do we have any other questions from the committee? Okay. With that, we thank you so much. We'll have you take a step back, and we will welcome testimony in support of Senate Bill 311. We'll start at our physical locations and then move to the phones. All right, broadcast. Is there anyone on the phone line who'd like to testify in support of Senate Bill 311?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 311, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers wishing to supply support at this time.
Thank you so much, broadcast. With that, we will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 311. We'll start in our physical locations and then move to the phones.
Good morning, Chair Pazina and members of the committee. For the record, Trevor Parrish, Manager of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber thanks Senator Ellison for meeting with us about SB 311 and for understanding our concerns with Section 1, Subsection 3 as it pertains to the use of deceptive trade practices within this bill. We have conceptually agreed with the bill sponsor that this would not apply in Clark County and Washoe County because of the level of services that exist in these two urban counties. The Chamber has no other concerns with any other provisions of the bill. With the adoption of the conceptual amendment, the Chamber will move to the neutral position on SB 311. Thank you.
All right, not seeing anyone else in person, we're going to move to the phones. Broadcast, do we have anyone who'd like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 311?
If you would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 311, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. All right, that will bring us to neutral. Would anyone like to testify in neutral on Senate Bill 311? Not seeing anyone in our physical locations, we're back to you, broadcast. Anyone on the phones to testify neutral on SB 311?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 311, please press star 9 now. Chair, you have no callers neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, Senator Ellison, would you like to make any closing statements?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was surprised. I was hoping at least get somebody to say something, but I will get the amendments and get them to us right away. And I thank you, and I thank you guys, all of you, because I think we all have the same concerns. We just need to get what we paid for, and mostly for the security for our families and our homes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Ellison. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 311, and we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 437, which enacts provisions relating to Internet consumer lenders. And we will welcome former Senator Keffer and any co-presenters you may have.
Thank you, Chair Pazina. For the record, my name is Ben Keffer with BRK Nevada, here today representing the companies Upstart and Affirm in support of Senate Bill 437. And I am joined at the table today by Gilberto Mendoza of Upstart, who will provide some more information about his company and their interest in Nevada after I spend a little time walking through the bill. So let me start by saying thank you to the committee for the committee introduction of this piece of legislation before you today. We believe that this is a really important change in our statutes to modernize Nevada's laws relating to banking to expand access to credit for many Nevadans who are currently underbanked or unbanked. And I think a little history and context is probably appropriate and important here. During the 2019 session, while I was serving in this body, I introduced Senate Bill 161 to create a regulatory sandbox for financial technology companies. And at that time, I was approached by representatives of the company Intuit, which had a product to make loans to its business customers, but there was a barrier in the law that prevented them from doing so, and that was a requirement that all installment loans be issued through a brick and mortar location in this state pursuant to our laws. So we amended Senate Bill 161 to include a new definition of internet lender and created an exemption to this brick and mortar requirement to allow for the issuance of business loans via the internet. It was always intended for this exemption to apply exclusively to business loans, and an update to the statute was done following the 2019 session to make sure that intent was clarified. Following the 2019 session, in 2021, I sponsored another bill that was very similar to the one that was before you today, which is why I think I'm following up with you a couple of years later. And that would have expanded the concept from internet business loans to internet consumer loans. Unfortunately, that bill got caught up in a lot of the machinations of this process and died an unseemly death at a committee deadline. But I still think it's an important issue that will be good for our state, good for consumers, and so we sit here today in 2025. I think nothing really came up on the issue in 2023, so it was silent at that time. But here we are, asking you to consider bringing Nevada statutes on installment loans into modern times and recognizing the fact that consumers conduct their business through the internet, and that not all businesses, including lenders, should need a physical location in this state in order to do business here. The bill before you today does a few key things, and I'll walk through them individually. I will be referencing the amendment that was submitted by Black and Wadhams and has been presented to you, but it contains really only minor and clarifying changes in our opinion, and the sections of all of the amendment are consistent with the sections of the bill, if that's what you have before you today. So, first, Senate Bill 437 creates a new definition for internet consumer lender, which is defined in Section 2 of the bill, to mean a person who makes, brokers, arranges, or facilitates consumer loans exclusively through the internet. In my conversations with the Financial Institutions Division, they pointed out that soliciting is already a regulated activity under this chapter, Chapter 675, and they have suggested, and we agree, that including soliciting in this definition is probably important. So if we are honored enough to have this bill work session, we would suggest that including soliciting in that definition is appropriate. We appreciate FID's input on that. Second, the bill creates an exemption to the existing brick and mortar requirement for financial institutions for internet consumer lenders that is consistent with the exception for internet business lenders. And you would find that in Section 3, subsection 3A of the bill. These two components, both the definition and then that exemption, work together to allow for internet consumer lenders like Upstart and Affirm to offer direct-to-consumer loans in Nevada without being required to have a brick and mortar presence in the state. This requirement is a barrier to doing business, and I believe is unique to Nevada. I think we're the only state that currently has this requirement. It's simply no longer necessary, and it's not good for either business or consumers. Importantly, offering loans in Nevada under these provisions would still fall under the full regulatory control of the Nevada Division of Financial Institutions. There's no change to licensing. There's no new license being created. Full regulatory oversight still lies with the state, and there is no change to any of that. And the final significant policy component in Senate Bill 437 is found in Section 1, which requires that any loan or contract issued by an internet consumer lender be governed by the laws of the state, to the extent that they're not preempted by federal law. And we believe that this is a strong consumer protection component for residents of our state and ensures that they're not forced to deal with laws trying to be enforced outside of the boundaries of the state. I've been in regular contact with the Nevada Division of Financial Institutions regarding this bill. I appreciate their help and their input. I obviously don't speak for them, but they've been good partners to work with on getting this legislation crafted. I'd also like to say thank you again to the committee for hearing us today. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Gilberto Mendoza with Upstart to talk about his company and what implementing a law like this could do for consumers in our state. Thank you, Beth.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the committee. Thank you for having me today. For the record, my name is Gilberto Soria Mendoza. That's Gilberto, space Soria, space Mendoza. Sorry, that's a mouthful. I'm the manager of government relations at Upstart. I previously worked at Acción Opportunity Fund, a community development financial institution, and before that, I worked at the National Conference of State Legislatures. Upstart is the leading fintech lending marketplace connecting millions of consumers to more than 100 community banks and credit unions that leverage Upstart's underwriting models and cloud applications. We help our more than 100 lending partners find and serve customers and deliver superior credit products. By partnering with Upstart, lenders can approve more borrowers at lower rates while delivering the exceptional digital-first experience customers demand. Our platform includes personal loan, auto retail and refinance loans, home equity lines of credit, and small dollar relief loans. Upstart is licensed in every state that we operate in and requires it, and we have helped our lending partners serve over 3 million customers across the country. The average loan size on our platform is about $10,000, and 28% of Upstart Power loans go to low and moderate income communities. These are loans used to consolidate debt, refinance out of high-cost credit card debt, auto refinancing, home improvements, medical bills, and more. At Upstart, we're dedicated to improving access to credit for all. We believe our underwriting models are some of the most accurate, fair, inclusive underwriting models in the market and help make the credit system more accessible, affordable, and secure. The lenders on our marketplace can approve more applicants with lower average APRs at lower loss rates than traditional credit score models. This improves the financial health of Americans and unlocks opportunity for them. Each year, Upstart evaluates the ability of our personal loan model to underwrite applicants in comparison to a more traditional model. In 2023, our research showed that the Upstart model could approve significantly more applicants at every race and gender, including Hispanic and Black applicants, at lower interest rates than a traditional credit score-based underwriting model can. Nevada is the only state in the country that requires institutions seeking a lending license to maintain a physical location in the state. Simply put, SB 437 modernizes Nevada law and cuts the red tape by removing this archaic provision. As Senator Ben Kiefer noted, under existing law, an organization who wishes to apply for and obtain a license from FID to engage in the business of lending is currently required to have a physical office in the state, unless they're an internet business lender. All SB 437 is seeking to do is extend that internet business lender exemption to internet consumer lenders and enable internet consumer lenders to do business in Nevada without having to maintain a physical location. This bill is not removing any licensing requirements or loosening any regulations. A Nevada licensed internet consumer lender will still be required to obtain licensure from FID to do business in Nevada, and FID can choose to audit any company at any time. In conclusion, SB 437 removes an archaic provision and brings more internet-based businesses to Nevada. It enhances the economy and expands access to credit by enabling more consumer choice in the lending industry. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you so much. Senator Rogich?
Thank you, Chair. Just with regard to the presence in Nevada, do they have a registered agent if they do not have a location present here?
For the record, Ben Kiefer. Senator Rogich, in order to receive your business license, you're required to have a registered agent when you file that business license. So that would be they would still be obligated to have a Nevada business license like any other business. Thank you.
Senator Lang?
Thank you. It's great to see you.
You as well.
So you mentioned the different kinds of loans you have. Are you also doing like short-term payday loan kinds of things? No.
No, we don't engage in any
Short-term.
Give us your name for the record as well.
For the record, Gilberto Soria Mendoza. No, we don't engage in any payday regulatory lending. The state has strong consumer protections, and in order to engage in the business of lending in Nevada, you have to go through FID and licensure. So all we're really asking is for the opportunity to apply for this license and go through the regular process. But like I mentioned, at Upstart, our average loan size is $10,000. So a lot of our customers come to us to refinance out of credit card debt, medical bills, home improvements, etc.
Follow up, please. And you also mentioned that every state is doing this?
No, I mentioned that Nevada is the only state that has a brick and mortar requirement. So we are licensed in every state that we operate in.
Mm-hmm.
States don't have a physical brick and mortar requirement to apply for a lending license.
Can you tell me which states that you have a license to practice? Have a business license?
Yeah, across the country.
And give us your name for the record.
Sorry, this is my first time testifying here. For the record, Gilberto, we have a license in every state.
Oh, okay, because that's what I was kind of asking in the last question. I think I might have confused you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
May I also clarify? Ben Kiefer for the record. The bill before you today specifically amends Chapter 675, which is on installment loans. High interest loans are governed by a 604A, which is a separate chapter, and we're not touching that in here. Thank you.
And as a follow-up as well.
The A. It might be D, or I forget that. 604. Sorry.
604. As a follow-up as well, when it comes to internet consumer lending, how many states is that happening in around the country right now?
Thank you, Ben Kiko, for the record. So again, the internet consumer lending is happening across the country. I believe in all of them. Upstart, in particular, operates in all 50 states, and they serve as sort of a broker and intermediary and doing sort of the creditworthiness of the applicant, and then connecting them with other financial institutions which issue the specific loans. So they're practicing throughout the country. This is a fairly common procedure.
So practicing in 49 states, since we can't legally do it here right now, and then potentially 50?
Ben Kiko, for the record. I'll turn it over to Gilberto. They have a product in Nevada. It is just very limited because of this specific restriction, and I'll let him explain.
Yeah, banks are exempt from this licensing. For the record, my name is Gilberto. Banks are exempt from this licensing requirement, so banks can lend online to Nevada residents. So there's folks in Nevada are applying online. We work under a bank fintech partnership. So like I mentioned, we partner with over 100 banks, community banks and credit unions across the country. So we want Senator Pacina to come to upstart.com and apply for a loan, and we will provide you 5 different offers based on your true credit, your true risk, and you get to pick what loan offer meets your needs, right? And right now, the way it works, because we're a lending marketplace, and we kind of it's kind of unique to our business model where we have these large number of banks and credit unions. So they're all competing, right? And they all want your business. So they're all trying to provide you the best offer. So we're just trying to enable that marketplace for Nevada consumers. Right now, a Nevada resident can go to Reno Credit Union, I'm making this up, sorry, I don't know, a Reno Credit Union online and apply for a loan, right? But it's a standalone website for those. And the banks, the community banks and credit unions that we work with are a lot smaller, so they don't have the resources to market folks, to reach out to folks. So that's kind of the value add that we do for them. We help them increase their scope.
Thank you so much. And this could just be because it's Monday morning and it's been a long few weeks. So you're providing a smaller scope now in the state since banks are exempted. But how many states can you provide this larger scope in that you're looking to do here in Nevada?
Across all of them, yeah. So it's just because we're a lending marketplace, so it's just at the brick and mortar requirement. We just don't have a physical office in the state. We're an internet-based company. So Upstart, I don't know, around, think of SoFi, Lending Club, like we're in that space. So we're really just trying to enable our lending marketplace here in Nevada. Currently in the state, we are lending, but we are partnering with one bank, right? And we want to partner with all of our lending partners. And I think that will increase access to credit for consumers here in the state.
Senator Ellison?
It's good seeing you again. It's a Monday from heck. So anyway, I do have a question. I remember several years back that they did have this same bill come up, and there was a lot of opposition because of they felt it was an unfair business practice that they had to have brick and mortar in the state and somebody else didn't. Do you think that's changed in this time period, or could you explain that?
Ben Kiekefer for the record, Chair Pazino, through you to Senator Ellison. Appreciate the question. Yes, I recall some opposition when we ran this the first time. I think the marketplace itself has evolved pretty substantially in the 4 years between 2011 and now, or I'm sorry, 21 and now, and we've not been approached by any opposition as of yet on this bill. We'll see in a couple of minutes, I suppose, if that's changed. But we feel confident that this is an effort to sort of bring Nevada to modern times. That this is a business model that functions across the country in 49 other states right now, and that if most of the financial institutions that could have potentially had concerns, they work with this model in all those other states already. So we feel very comfortable. Thank you.
We'll go to Senator Flores and then back to Senator Lang.
It's great seeing you. And thank you for meeting with me before. I really appreciate the conversation. Very innocent question, less to do with the bill and more to do with what practices are happening in other states. I've had an opportunity in the past to work in the pay lending space, and we worked on ability to repay, mostly because we were concerned of having people in that vicious cycle or that treadmill where they just can't get out of debt. And I know in engaging in those conversations, one of the biggest things we often heard is that there's this predatory world that existed online. And obviously, everything bad and everything good is online. It makes life so much easier and at the same time, much more complicated. I was only curious to know, and not to minimize the quality of the work that you're doing, obviously, you're the good people we want online. Have we seen any additional measures implemented in other states to specifically try to regulate when you're opening the world to the online space to ensure that those bad actors that disguising themselves as maybe something similar to what you do, where you're creating this place where people can come in and shop around for different products, to avoid some of those bad actors coming into the state? And the answer might be no. It's online. It might be very difficult. But just curious to know if you've seen other states kind of add some additional protections once you open the door and allow this to happen, to just really try to minimize some of those predatory lenders.
Ben Keycover for the record, Chair Pazina, through you to Senator Flores. I certainly appreciate that. And I'll turn it over to Gilberto to talk a little bit about what he sees in other states. But I would point out, at least in this bill, the full authority of the Nevada Division of Financial Institutions remains in place on this product. Right. So the commissioner has and retains the ability to shut people down, to audit, to investigate, and to deny licensure if that's appropriate. So I think that we've got a strong division of financial institutions that does good work protecting Nevada consumers, and nothing in this undermines that ability. In terms of transitions online in other states, I'd leave it to Gilberto to see if he could provide an update on that. I can't speak to it.
Yeah, so at Upstart, for the record, my name is Gilberto. At Upstart, we are members of the American FinTech Council, and the American FinTech Council is a values-based trade association, and we do not do any lending above 36%. So across the country, in industry and the CFPB, and at Upstart, we worked with the CFPB since our inception, but 36% has kind of been the threshold of what predatory lending is. And states across the country have interest rate caps to help on loans. I don't recall Nevada's interest rate caps on top of mind right now. But for example, at Upstart, we're one of the good actors. We do not lend above 36%. Again, 36% is our ceiling, right? So it doesn't mean that we're giving out 36% loans, but really our value add is we're trying to price and folks at their true risk that are being left behind by the traditional big banks, right? Like the traditional big banks are very conservative, and we're just trying to help increase access to credit. But going back, I used to work at the National Conference of State Legislatures, and they have, I'm sure you've all been to their meetings. Hope to see you there in Boston. Different states have different interest rate caps, different consumer protections, and happy to share those that we've advocated for in the past in different states.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to confirm that I heard this right, that you're working with banks and credit unions?
For the record, Gilberto, yes, we are working with community banks and credit unions, yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. I don't see any further questions, so we will thank you and have you take a step back from the table and open up testimony in support of SB 437. For those in support, we'll start in our physical locations and then move to the phones. Okay, not seeing anyone in our physical location, we are going to move to the phones. Broadcast, is there anyone who'd like to testify in support of SB 437?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 437, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning. My name is Peter Aldis. I'm a staff attorney with Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, and I help low-income Nevadans deal with debt and resolve their disputes with financial institutions. One of my most important jobs is protecting Nevadans from predatory lenders, and this proposed bill helps me do just that by ensuring that, regardless of the language in a contract or an app's terms and conditions, Nevada laws apply to loans from internet consumer lenders. Nevada has several strong consumer protection laws, and it's crucial that all lenders are required to follow those rules. That's why I support this bill.
Greetings, Chair Pazina and members of the committee. My name is Kyle Blodgett. I'm the Senior Director for Financial Policy at the Chamber of Progress, a tech industry coalition promoting technology's progressive future. I'm here to express my support for SB 437. SB 437 appropriately modernizes consumer lending regulations to reflect their evolving landscape of digital financial services. It provides much needed regulatory clarity that promotes innovation, preserving financial access to responsible credit for Nevada consumers. In today's inflationary economy, families living paycheck to paycheck often rely on access to small dollar credit to cover urgent expenses, avoid overdraft fees, or manage medical bills and car repairs. SB 437 supports this need by enacting a thoughtful registration framework for internet consumer lenders, ensuring that these services remain available to those in the Silver State who need them most. The bill safeguards consumers without imposing overly restrictive caps or limitations that could push borrowers toward unregulated or predatory financial products. It also outlines important protections, such as disclosures of material loan terms and fee limits, which gives consumers the tools to make informed financial decisions by preserving access to regulated lending tools. SB 437 ensures that families are not forced to choose between paying late fees, taking out payday loans, or skipping essential expenses. Nevada has the opportunity to be a lender in promoting financial technology by enacting SB 437. Today's online lending platforms leverage advanced data analytics, alternative underwriting models, and modern user interfaces to better serve diverse consumers, including those without traditional credit histories. SB 437 recognizes the roles that these tools play in financial inclusion, and by creating a regulatory framework tailored to internet consumer lenders, Nevada signals that it values innovation in financial services when paired with accountability and transparency. Rather than stifling new models, the bill encourages providers to invest in Nevada and offer flexible, compliant regulatory credit options that meet the needs of today's digital-first consumers. With this in mind, we urge you to pass SB 437. We thank you for your leadership in supporting strong guide rails for financial innovation while ensuring Nevada residents can access credit tools they need to build financial resilience. Thank you.
Okay. Broadcast, do we have anyone else who'd like to testify in support on SB 437?
Chair, you have no more callers on the line at this time.
Thank you so much. With that, we will move to opposition of Senate Bill 437, starting in our physical locations, and not seeing anyone coming forward, we will move to the phones. Broadcast, is there anyone who'd like to testify in opposition?
Your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
And that brings us to neutral. Do we have anyone who'd like to testify in neutral on SB 437? Not seeing anyone in the physical locations, we are back to you, Broadcast.
You have no callers at this time.
All right. Senator Kiekever, would you like to make any closing statements? Okay, with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 437. And we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 439, which revises provisions relating to alcoholic beverages. And we will welcome up our presenters.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Mary Tran, T-R-A-N. I am the Deputy General Counsel of Foley Family Wines and Spirits. In Las Vegas is our outside counsel, Mr. Leif Reed of Womble Bond Dickinson. To my right is Mr. Joseph O'Sullivan, our master distiller at Minden Mill Distilling. First, I would like to thank this committee for its introduction of Senate Bill 439. I will provide some information on the impetus of this bill. Mr. O'Sullivan will provide information on Minden Mill's efforts to further the distillery's recognition as an estate distillery, and Mr. Reed will discuss our proposed amendment to this bill. In 1996, Foley Family Wines and Spirits was founded by Bill and Carol Foley, both Nevada residents. We produce a portfolio of highly acclaimed wines and spirits from various estates in California, Oregon, Washington, and New Zealand. We've also expanded into the spirits business. We are extremely proud to operate Minden Mill Distilling, our estate distillery located in the historic mill buildings on Highway 395 in Minden, Nevada. The facility has state-of-the-art stills and rickhouses that are climate-controlled and set to specific locations in Kentucky and Scotland. Our grains are grown 3 miles away, and the water we use is from an aquifer fed by Sierra Nevada snowmelt. Minden Mill oversees every step of the grain-to-glass process, and no part of our distilling process is outsourced. But in order to earn additional revenue, to maintain our estate distillery, and make the best use of our facility, we would like the ability to store and bottle third-party bulk spirits. We have the systems in place to ensure third-party spirits are properly and strictly segregated to ensure that there is no crossover into our estate distilled products, of which we take great pride in. I will now turn it over to Mr. O'Sullivan to provide more information. Thank you for your time.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Joseph O'Sullivan, and I am the master distiller for Minden Mill Distilling in Minden, Nevada. I want to thank you for the opportunity for me to represent the mission at the heart of what we do at Minden Mill and why it is that the bill we are seeking poses no threat to the integrity of our estate distilling license. Just like distillers everywhere, we take our brand very seriously. We know we represent the community as much as we represent the whiskey that we age. For the past 20 years, I've worked alongside agriculture and know how important it is for products to be made locally and the pride it manifests within a community. Which is why the estate distilling term must be a signifier of quality above all. And for that, there must be trust. In this interest, this past winter, we became members of the University of Kentucky's Estate Whiskey Alliance, a science-focused organization both researching and promoting estate whiskey. We joined because we are serious about our craft and the value it gives a community. This organization requires full transparency, including a grain-to-glass pathway where the entire history of a bottle can be seen and documented. Further, it is our policy at Minden that all non-estate spirits would be segregated and recorded for similar tracing and transparency. Barrels brought to the rickhouse would be likewise isolated, and we would maintain separate labeling systems for visual distinction. I hope this quells some anxiety about our process. I understand the necessity for this discussion. In the end, I want to assure you that the wall between estate and non-estate products will be upheld as professionals and believers in what this important designation represents. I'll now turn it back to Mary Tran.
I will hand it over to Mr. Leif Reed to discuss our proposed amendment.
Madam Chair, good morning. Leif Reed, for the record, L-E-I-F-R-E-I-D, and I will be very brief. This is, the bill involves really 2 legislative changes. The first, in section 1 of the bill appearing that you see first, allows for the tasting room at estate distilleries to be like the tasting rooms, to have the same authorization that the wineries have in Nevada, which allows them to sell other products so long as they receive an appropriate retail liquor license from the county in which they're located, and the liquor purchased is purchased from a wholesaler in our Nevada 3-tier taxation system. That's the first change. The second change is to allow estate distilleries to receive for the purpose of storage and bottling only, neutral spirits in bulk from a supplier, so long as they're segregated and not mixed with the estate distilled products that are produced and in the manner that you just heard Mr. O'Sullivan describe. That's essentially, that is the bill as I understand it. There was language in a section 2 of the bill that I believe has been deleted in full, so I won't comment on it.
Okay, thank you. Are you ready for questions or okay? Senator Lang.
Thank you. Can you talk to us a little bit about how this came about? And there must be a need if you want to expand and allow for third-party storage. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Okay. There we go. For the record, my name is Mary Tran. Thank you for your question, Senator Lang. My understanding is that our predecessor, the Bentley family, also wanted the ability to be able to bottle and store for third parties as well. This was always part of their vision, and when we took over, in order to help earn additional revenue, we simply want to be able to use our facility, which we have space for third-party spirits. We just want to be able to earn additional revenue and just bring in more spirits, and it would also bring in more state excise tax as well. I don't know if you have more.
For the record, Joseph O'Sullivan. Yeah, the time it takes to build whiskey brands is quite substantial. Anything that's like that can't be sustained by a single state or even a region. It must kind of be a nationwide endeavor. So in the interest of that time and in keeping this a financially successful business, bringing in third-party bottling is just an easy way to use our assets that we currently have, bottling lines, rickhouse, etc., and won't cause any conflict with the estate distilling license. And hopefully, ideally, we grow in time the Minden brand so any sort of third-party efforts would just eventually go away.
So if I'm a third party that wants to come into your space, I would bring my barrels, and then you would bottle those, and then you would store them under the third party's name that's bringing it to you. Would that be correct?
Well, in this instance, you would bring in the barrels. We would blend.
Please state your name for the record as well. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much. For the record, Joseph O'Sullivan. In this instance, you'd bring in the barrels. We would blend them together, unless it's a single barrel type bottling, then bring it to the correct proof, bottle it, and then it would leave the building. Now, if people wanted to house barrels in our facility, whether that's in time to barrel or bottle in the future, or whether it's just long-term storage, they would just be allocated to a different section of the rick house with different labeling procedures, so there could be no sort of immediate oversight.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Senator Ellison.
Thank you. And I remember years ago that when they were trying to put spirits here in Nevada, they had to start off real small and then they could work up. But it's nothing to this magnitude. And is that going to put a large burden on them small companies that's been working for years to get to where they could sell their spirits to the public?
For the record, Joseph O'Sullivan. No, I don't believe so. This is purely about making one business financially sound and keeping the people there employed as well as the people that we employed. I can't imagine that this would be much of a negative influence on smaller distilleries. We support them entirely. We want to grow Nevada Spirits as a unit, not just specifically our own. Of course, we're included in that. But the idea of bringing something from this community into the larger country is a daily conversation. And I would hope that smaller distilleries, if they needed somebody to bottle or store, they could use us. Otherwise, there's lots of people in different states that could do the same operation for them, whether it's Hood River Distillers in Oregon or Levesque down in California.
Senator Rogich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, so this bill is just for this estate distillery. It will not include or extend the ability to have similar rights to small businesses that are in a similar position?
For the record, Mary Tran, thank you, Senator Rogich, for your question. I agree, there would be no extension of any additional privileges. We simply want to be able to store and bottle spirits, and it would be under the other entity's name. Thank you.
Any further questions? Not seeing any. Thank you so much. We'll have you take a step back from the table and we'll open it up for testimony in support of Senate Bill 439. We'll do that in our physical locations and then we will move to the phones. And not seeing anyone coming to our physical tables in the physical locations, we're going to move to the phones for anyone in support of Senate Bill 439 broadcast.
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 439, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. With that, we will open it up for testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 439. Starting in our physical locations and seeing no one coming to the tables, we will move to the phones.
If you would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 439, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And that will move us to neutral on Senate Bill 439.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good morning. For the record, John Sandy, here today representing Frey Ranch Distillery, Nevada's oldest estate distillery. We are truly neutral on this bill. This isn't anything that our clients would take advantage of. They don't anticipate this model being applicable to their existing business model. However, if this is allowed for distilleries, we think it should apply to all distilleries, not just estate distilleries, so those craft distilleries as well. And wanted to leave that there for your consideration. But thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Okay, not seeing anyone else in our physical locations. Broadcast, we are back to you. Is there anyone on the phone line who'd like to testify in neutral on Senate Bill 439?
Chair, your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Okay. Would you like to make any closing statements on 439? Okay. Thank you so much. With that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 439, and we are speeding right along today, and we will move to the last item on our agenda, which is public comment. We look forward to hearing from the public, and we ask that you state and spell your name for the record. We'll start in our physical locations, and seeing everyone heading to the doors and not the tables, we will move to the phone lines broadcast. Anyone who'd like to make public comment?
Chair, your public line is open and working, but you have no callers at this time.
Well, look at that. Thank you so much. And with that, we will look forward to seeing everyone back here on Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. for our next meeting. And we will also be adding in a Thursday morning meeting at 8:30, which will be a work session. And then, of course, we'll be meeting again Friday. We look forward to seeing you Wednesday, and this meeting is adjourned.